Greenlight Pod, episode 30. We've got a great guest lined up for you today, and Geoff Schwartz, former NFL offensive lineman, host of the Geoff Schwartz is Smarter Than You podcast. We're going to talk about especially O-linemen in the combine this weekend, some O-linemen in free agency, along with some Oregon talk, Herbert talk, and then me and Macon are going to talk about a bunch of random shit. I mean, a ton, including some fan submissions for the last place dude in our bracket coming up. Punishments. What could be on the docket for the dude who comes in last place? Stay tuned. Welcome to Greenlight Pod. I'm your host, Chris Long. This is episode 30. That is my esteemed co-host, Macon Gunter.
Hey, Chris.
How you doing?
I'm great. I'm a little got the giggles.
Yeah?
A little punch drunk, if you will.
What happened?
Well, I reckon I just got in your presence, and we're having a gay old time here. On the Greenlight Pod.
Yep, we're having a good time. What do you got going on in your life?
Sure, a lot of the day job.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be confused with.
Remind the people what your day job is.
I sell real estate.
Sling it.
Mostly residential, some commercial. As many of you have already figured out, you can find me on the internet for your real estate needs. I'm getting some emails.
Is doing this pod? Is this like a long play free advertising thing?
No. I've learned that clients do listen and watch, which scares me. The problem is if prospective clients don't like this, I'm never going to know. They're not going to tell me, hey, we were going to work with you, but we didn't because...
Right. They're not... I would appreciate... If I were you, I'd appreciate hearing that, but that's never happening.
Right. If that were to happen, I'd probably say to you, Chris, maybe it's time...
Cut the cord.
We part ways.
But you know it's probably already happened at least once.
Don't say that. Why would you say that?
I don't know. It's just speculative. You made it sound like it's a distinct possibility.
I don't know. The folks who have mentioned it seem to like it. So
and
that's
what's
good.
what's your percentage on a deal?
Come again?
Like on a real estate deal. What's the average for people who don't understand how this thing goes? How does it go when you're brokering a residential deal?
Right. I'd rather not discuss that. I know your financials have been public for the majority of your career.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around how much money you could lose.
Oh, yeah.
If we said something that didn't jive with the buyer.
Hundreds of millions of dollars, potentially.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, this is episode 30. Thanks for co-hosting this thing.
You're welcome.
In the face of tremendous financial risk.
Yeah, I really am happy to be here. Thank you for
you're welcome.
Me. And I remember when you turned 30 years old.
Yeah.
Primarily because I still have a cup that commemorates it.
That birthday party.
Yeah.
It was a nice birthday party. My lovely wife, Meg, put together a real good time.
Ah, Meg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely wife, right?
Yeah, she's lovely.
Yeah, she's great.
What were you saying?
Oh, I was saying my lovely girlfriend, Kate, was probably at that party.
Yeah?
Too.
Been boyfriend and girlfriend a long time.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, we really like each other. Don't need the government to get involved or anything like that.
Right. Okay.
We just like
you were telling your story about my birthday party. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, there's a cup. That's the end of the story.
It's got a dinosaur.
A dinosaur eating another dinosaur.
Yeah.
And says, happy 30th birthday, Chris.
Listen, and I didn't have any kids then. Love dinosaurs. Have 2 kids now. Both my kids love dinosaurs, so
cool.
That worked out.
I use that frequently as my water cup when I go to bed. Do you have a water cup when you go to bed?
You don't want to drink too much water before you go to bed because then you might have to get up and pee, and there's nothing worse than that.
You're going to think I'm loony, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever gotten up in the middle of the night to go bathroom, and I am V-hydrated throughout the day. Seriously.
Stop it.
Seriously.
You've never woke up to go take a piss.
I mean, that seems ridiculous, but I can't recall a time.
Do you have a bladder like a 30-gallon
No, I don't think that's it.
North
because
Face duffel bag?
I do go
Yeah.
throughout the day,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
my body just knows, hey, we can't interrupt this rim situation.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
In
And-
that I don't believe it.
Oh, and I wake up regularly
Yeah.
1 minute before my alarm goes off.
That
is that a thing?
happens a lot
Yeah,
to me.
okay.
That happens to me a lot as
Yeah.
well. Man, that's interesting. You could do a whole pod on you not waking up to take a piss ever.
Yeah. And now I'm probably going to get up tonight.
Yeah, that's probably how this thing's going to work. Number 30. That's how many episodes we've done here. It's a lot. And as you know,
900 pieces of content from you.
Yeah.
30 pods.
30 pods,
Yeah.
exactly. But we routinely mention our favorite corresponding jersey number athlete. In fact, we do it every time. And number 30, I'll let you start it off. I know you got somebody good, because the jump from 28 and 29 to 30 is exponential as far as how many options we have. I noticed it was hard to decide.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was surprised that there weren't better candidates for number 30.
Name a few.
Okay. These are, and how do you know mine's going to be good? Have you
I don't
been
know.
told?
You usually have a good one.
Okay. Makes me a bit nervous. Here are some people I'm not picking. Steph Curry.
Okay.
Would have been a fine selection.
Yeah, it would have been cool.
Nolan Ryan, the Ryan Express.
That would have been awesome. I thought about that one as well.
Just about every NHL goalie ever I found, including Marty Brodeur.
A lot of goalies.
Yeah.
Ton of goalies.
Yeah.
Fuhr, who's the Calgary Flames goalie.
Fuhr?
Yeah.
Fuhr? Huh.
How do you say?
I thought I was up on my goalies. I'm not familiar with Fuhr.
Well, he's the first black NHL player to be to enter in the Hall of Fame.
Oh.
Yeah. Played for the Flames.
Flames goalie F U R
H.
Oh.
Yeah.
Grant Fuhr.
You remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, and a host of others in the NHL. Also Terrell Davis. Denver Bronco. My number 30 is a guy named Rasheed Wallace.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah. And on the YouTube.com, look at that Bullets jersey.
Oh.
He was drafted by, I guess we would call that the Washington team. That's Bullets is also offensive, as is the football team. And there on the right, he's yelling at an official. Now, Sheed, bit of a tough one for me because he's a Tar Heel, and I'm a Wahoo, and was raised not to like the Tar Heels.
Yeah.
Many battles with those mid 90s teams when the Who's had a good club.
Yeah, when you were 10.
But yeah, ish. Responsible for at least popularizing Ball Don't Lie.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams played hard and cut the check. Sheed was tossed from the McDonald's All-American game.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And Wallace used the phrase "ball don't lie," used when a player on the opposing team misses a free throw after a disputed call by the referees. One notable incident occurred in December 2012 against the Phoenix Suns. Wallace pushed Luis Scola and received a technical foul. Goran Dragic missed the technical free throw, to which Wallace responded by saying, "Ball don't lie." Wallace then received a second technical foul, leading to his ejection. He played 1 minute, 25 seconds before being ejected.
I do remember him pushing Scola. It was so early in the game.
Yeah.
And Scola is just minding his own business, hanging out in the corner, with that just slick back hairdo.
Mm-hmm.
Scola didn't. That was unnecessary.
Sheed was also tossed for just staring at an official for too long. And I always like to do this. Born September 17th, 1974, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, theme on this show. He's 6'11", 230 pounds. Rasheed Wallace, my number 30.
I like that because he popularized non-murder pro athletes driving Ford Broncos. Yeah, that was much needed. We needed that. For a while there was just OJ.
Right.
And I got a 95 Bronco. I drive it sometimes, Yeah. I thought it was unfair. We were always associated with OJ. And Rashid came along and stood up and said, "Hey, I got a Bronco. I'm a pro athlete. I don't do murders."
Yeah. Unfortunately, I still think OJ. I don't think Rasheed Wallace, Chris Long.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, I don't think OJ did it. Jesus.
No.
That scared the shit out of me.
That is not my take. Sheed has done and hopefully continues to do big things for the Flint water crisis.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
We should get him involved with Water Boys.
Shout out to Sheed. Yeah.
Yeah, geez.
That'd be great.
We got a domestic program coming along. My number 30, and it came down to, a former teammate in Todd Gurley, a running back another running back who I really admire, in James Conner, out of Pitt. Everybody knows his story, beating cancer, plays in Pittsburgh. He's living just the life. Hometown guy, hometown college, playing for the Steelers. Nolan Ryan was close for me. Kerry Kittles was close for me. Recently saw him at a Brooklyn Nets game. Obviously, for those of you who are not in your 30s, you would remember Kerry Kittles as a Villanova star.
Nova.
And played for the Nets for a long time. Scola. And then, Mike Scott was a finalist for me.
Nice.
Our boy Mike Scott, who's a forward for the Philadelphia 76ers, now wears number 1, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But wore 30 in Washington and wore 23 at UVA. So Mike just missed the Tony Bennett era. I mean, by a couple years there. He was in the dark days.
He
was there for 1 year?
Mike Scott was coached by Tony Bennett.
For 1 year?
1 or 2.
1 or 2?
Yeah.
Oh, well, at least he got a little bit of taste of greatness.
Yeah, he also wore the number 32 at Virginia.
I just associate him with bad times.
College, Virginia, 07 to 12.
Yeah.
And Tony came along in 2009.
Damn, so we could throw this whole thing out.
No, keep it in.
He had 2 or 3 years with Tony?
What are we worried about?
Did he really have 2 or 3 years with Tony?
Yeah. That's what
How far did they get? Did they lose to Florida 1 year?
Got smoked by Florida.
Smoked by Florida. Was that a Tony team that got smoked by Florida?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, the good Tony years. He missed the good Tony years.
Well, the club made the NCAA tournament.
Well, we're getting to be snobs right now, where we're complaining about being a 9 or a 10 seed.
Back in those days, we were happy to get smoked by Florida in the first round.
Mike Scott, who's in Philly now, does a lot of great, community engagement stuff. He recently had a watch party, the All-Star game, with a bunch of fans. He does like kind of pop-up charity type things. He played in the D-League for a little bit on the, the Long Beach Jam? No, is it the Bakersfield Jam? Formerly the Long Beach Jam. Former home of Dennis Rodman and Matt Barnes, that organization. It's now defunct. But the number 30, with all that lead in, that I wanted to highlight was Mike Minter.
Mike Minter.
Do you remember Mike Minter?
Yeah.
Safety, Carolina Panthers, shown here in the icy whites.
That's really nice.
Played about 8-10 years in Carolina, but this was more of an opportunity to bring up my Carolina fandom.
Yeah.
I was a big Panthers fan growing up.
I can attest.
Yes. I mean, I painted my face as a teenager at a Panthers game. I am ecstatic that there are no pictures floating around of that.
Did you go because you didn't go with the silver or the teal? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's just having your face painted at an NFL game. There's kind of an age threshold, unless you're being, like comedic. You can get away with being comedic and being a 35-year-old dude with face paint, but when you're a teenager, you're kind of serious about it. And I don't mean like I have my driver's license yet, but like that, like the few years before you have it and you're a little bit awkward. And for me, I look like I'm 18 when I'm 12, 13. So I'm getting judged a little bit differently. So I hope those pictures never surface of me with my face painted at a Carolina Panthers game in the late 90s. It would have been turn of the century, Y2K time. I mean, like I had Sunday ticket. I remember all the players. I mean, whether, it was Wesley Walls, Wasim Muhammad, on defense you have Mike Rucker, Brenson Buckner, You had, I think Chris Jenkins was there for a little bit. Obviously, Julius Peppers. Biaka Batuka, that would be somebody right up your alley there.
Chimanga.
Yep, Tishmunga, yeah. Dan Morgan, that was another one. But
that sounds made up.
No, Dan Morgan was a linebacker for the Miami Hurricanes who hurt his neck and couldn't play that long in the NFL. I'm serious now. You don't remember him?
I don't, but I believe you. Kevin Green, Greg Lloyd.
Kevin Green was one that Kevin Green actually had a lot to do with accelerating my Panthers fandom. I met him. My dad took me to do like a locker room feature on them, maybe like 98 or something. And I got to meet Kevin Green. He was so cool. By the way, I ran into a bunch in the NFL because he was a D-line coach, linebackers coach for a long time. He might still be coaching. And he was a cool guy. So that accelerated the whole thing. This reminded me of the fact that I was a big Pittsburgh Penguins fan of the National Hockey League. And
so strange.
I cried. Why is that strange?
You're a Carolina Panthers fan. You're a Pittsburgh Penguins fan.
I'm a Virginia kid now.
We are in a, what are we in? What are we in, Chris?
I don't know. I'm not the guy with
no man's land
with the verbiage on this pod.
We're in a no man's land with regard to professional sports team affiliations.
We are. And I can remember crying like a baby when the Panthers, or not the Panthers, the Penguins lost to the Florida Panthers. See where that's confusing. I think it was in the conference finals, and I was petrified to Google what year that was because I remember how hard I cried. Because if that was like 99 or 2000, I'm really looking at my teenage self kind of funny.
Looks like 96.
Yeah, I was 11 years old. So that made me feel a lot better. I'm talking like snot, like the whole 9 yards. Down on the couch alone. I guess my parents let me stay up till whenever. No bedtime, nobody gave a fuck. I was just crying alone on the couch, just watching people skate around and skate off the ice. I was really ashamed to have that memory. I was happy to hear that was 1996. And that brings me to a question I have for you.
Okay.
We beat Duke this weekend.
Yep. As called on green light.
We called it on
number
green
29.
light. Is it okay to be a Duke fan and not be from North Carolina or go to Duke?
My answer is yes, but you can't back up off it like Coach Krzyzewski tries to do when he makes up his back issues, no pun intended. I mean, you got to stick with it. If you're going to be a lifelonger, okay, I'll grant it, but you can't just come and go when they're a 1 seed.
But there's so many. I mean, 90% of people on Twitter who are Duke fans didn't go to Duke and don't live in fucking Durham or even High Point.
Yeah.
And I just think I kind of think I can't take you seriously. And I'm looking at my own fandom. Okay, I'm a Knicks fan. I grew up and I like the Penguins. And I was a Panthers fan. Okay, so none of those teams. I mean, if I went default, technically I'd go Washington football team, Washington basketball team. Can't use any of the names. We didn't have a baseball team. I think it's different than pro sports. You can't just adopt college teams. I think there has to be some geography in play.
Okay, maybe you're swaying me on this one.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You picking up what I'm putting down?
I've seen in the last several years that Virginia has gained a lot more fans.
Just random fans in like Cedar Rapids.
Maybe, yeah, I guess most folks have a Commonwealth tie, but did not go to the university. And I say the more the merrier.
These are the teams. Ohio State has a lot of people like that. UNC definitely.
Sure.
UNC,
I would say
with
maybe
the Jordan brand.
Tops.
Yeah, I mean, UNC is probably the mecca of didn't sniff Chapel Hill, never grew up in or lived in North Carolina. Florida's another one I think people take too.
Teams that come to UVA, by far the stragglers, the team with the most stragglers after the game, waiting for pictures or autographs, trying to catch the team, walking out to the buses, is UNC.
Really?
Every year. Yep.
Yeah, they're a lot of they're zealots. these UNC and Duke fans.
Mm-hmm.
And they've never set foot in the state. And I'm just saying, it's a little fucked up. On the Duke topic, you saw Coach K's diatribe.
Yeah, when he directed people to look at his banners. Don't
talk to me about that, dog.
Don't besmirch the kids. Talk about me. But if you talk about me, look at all my banners. I'm really happy we have Tony Bennett as our head coach.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking to myself, like, I never thought I'd see Coach K look so outclassed. I mean, he's been doing it for years where he whines about stuff, and I respect him immensely. Great coach, okay? Like, and I understand some of this. Like, there's coach. Not every coach is Tony from a standpoint of the way they address the media or the way they carry themselves. If I was a coach, I wouldn't be as classy as Tony.
Right.
But when you're Duke, you're supposed to be the gold standard. You're not supposed to go low.
Right. There was a game, I guess it could have been 79, probably early 80s, ACC tournament where Virginia blows out Duke by 40 plus. And the story in the documentaries is that they go out to dinner. The Duke coaching staff afterwards said, here's to forgetting.
There's a documentary on this?
Yeah. The class that saved Coach K. Here's to never forgetting this Virginia game. And then Coach K said, no, here's to never forgetting this Virginia game. And he claims that Virginia ran up the score with Ralph Sampson playing 40 minutes. Ralph played 14 minutes in that 40-plus point blowout.
Did they note that in the documentary?
No, of course not. But if you go to the box score,
it's there.
1-4. Yeah, Mike, guy, what are you doing? I love how Mike lost 2 games last week. One giving up 113 points, and the other giving up 52 points. How do you get blown out in double
overtime?
Yeah.
How do you get blown out in double overtime?
113 to 101, and then lost to a team that scored 52.
52.
Under.
And that's all it took. And like I said, we don't rush the court anymore about Duke. We don't gloat about Duke. We're only talking about it because Coach K can't stay out of the news.
Yeah.
You know, this 5 banner talk. The funniest spin I saw is our guy, Jay Williams, who's a very nice fellow, right?
I like Jay.
Yeah, Jay's great. We hung out with him, as hard as that is for you to say.
Yep.
We hung out with him after the NCAA title game. We also hung out with Charles Barkley. I don't think we've talked about this on this pod, have we?
I don't know.
Ended up in the hotel bar with Chuck and Stanford Steve and Jay, and Charles was buying shots and doing
Charles
the whole
was
thing.
the man.
He was the best.
Especially 2 nights after his Auburn Tigers lose in excruciating fashion, and we roll in, and he's saying, "Wahoo wahoo,
yeah.
Wahoo wahoo,
Wahoo wahoo."
He didn't quite have wahoo wah down,
no.
But wahoo wahoo. What are y'all drinking?
Yeah. And many a drink was purchased.
Yeah. Had a closed bar. Too,
at a closed bar, and he's toasting people like we're the only people in the bar. Now there's still 150. It wasn't exactly an intimate setting. Now Jay, his twist today, Jay Williams, I think it was on Get Up, was that look what Coach K's doing. He's taking the pressure off his kids. He's deflecting the pressure on these kids amid this losing streak and putting it on him.
And he had the gall at Jones Arena on Saturday. The first thing he said in the post-game press conference was, well, we're really young.
Yeah, okay.
We started 4 freshmen. We're really young.
Yeah.
Like, bro, nobody's forcing you to take all these one-and-done kids.
No one.
Nobody.
Well, we were going to get to Coach K, but we got to it right there. One thing to mention, it is, as we record this, Super Tuesday. As you can see, Macon voted. And I want to just remind you that if you didn't vote, you're a piece of shit. But if you did, and you didn't vote for the candidate I want to represent the Democratic Party, you're either a moderate, a corporate shill, or a fucking communist. American politics.
You don't know that I voted. I just have a sticker.
I know. And the sticker's the funniest thing. I get it. I mean, everybody should vote. I mean, you really should.
And I'm only wearing this for the pod.
But he's only wearing it for the pod.
And if you happen to live in the 36 states that aren't participating in Super Tuesday, maybe you're not one of those things that you just
exactly. Yeah, okay. I don't want to be a dick about it, but I mean, there are some people that should be getting their rear ends to to their what would you call it?
Polling stations.
Polling stations.
Yep. It seems like you've got a lot of practice in this voting thing.
Well, I'll be going right after this.
Okay, you're going to see 14 names on the ballot while we have about 4 candidates at the moment.
And I'm not going to tell you who the fuck I voted for because you don't need to know.
It's a private vote.
You don't need to know.
Yep.
I'm so burnt out with American politics.
Ooh, he said burnt out.
You got it.
Interesting.
Cannabis jokes.
Oh, no, that was a political joke.
Oh.
Burnt out.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
I totally missed that.
Yep.
Yeah, I was spelling it with a U.
Yep,
Yeah,
I know.
so a little bit different. But quick question. I got a couple questions for you here, life coach.
Okay.
So Waylon, my son, had a birthday this weekend, turned 4.
Happy birthday to Waylon.
Happy birthday to my little guy, although he's not little anymore. And for people that have kids, it's like, you know when old people tell you shit and you just nod your head because you're like, I've heard that 14 fucking times. Well, there's a reason you've heard it 14 times, because when they tell you that it goes by in a blink of an eye, it really does. So I'm going to start listening to old people more since I had kids.
You know what I have never said before?
What?
I'm going to say now? The days are long, Chris, but the years are short.
Is that something you made up?
No.
Oh, okay, good. It made me really uncomfortable.
But hey, think about it. Will you think about it for a second?
Yeah.
You know, when Waylon's screaming and yelling and crying.
Got you. This is a parent thing.
Well, no, I think it applies to everybody.
Okay, got you. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
The days are long, but the years are short.
I'm there.
Bang.
I'm
there. We go. Okay.
Took me a second, but I'm there. That's a good one. But
Thank you.
I mean, like, you know, if you're about to be a dad or whatever, just really try to slow it down, because I mean, 4 years just went by like nothing. And you know, anyways, long story short, Waylon had a birthday cake, an ice cream cake that didn't look that good to me. So we cut the cake, you know, had my parents over, had the whole like intimate family setting kind of birthday. Was I wrong to forego the ice cream cake because I knew I had a piece of coconut cake in the fridge that I bought?
No.
So that was cool.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I don't need any ice cream cake.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. I'm wondering if I can tell a story. I'll think on that. No, you always refuse if you want to refuse.
Yeah, so it's not personal.
Yeah.
I mean,
all right,
like,
I'm going to tell it.
Okay, tell the story.
Frank Quayle is a guy. Love Frank Quayle.
Yeah.
Played football for Virginia and was a radio analyst for the Virginia Sports Network for a long time.
Yeah.
He retired following a Peach Bowl appearance against Auburn in 2011.
Okay.
And so the Peach Bowl, to thank Frank for his 27 years in the booth, brings him up, not a cake, a piece of cake that had been cut from who knows where in the Georgia Dome. Said, "Hey, Frank," on a plastic, on a paper plate. "Frank, thanks for 27 years. And Frank, God bless Frank, amazing man. He goes, "Aha, I don't want that. No, no, thank you, thank you. No."
That's how I was looking at the fucking ice cream cake, but not because it looked unclean.
Yeah,
or like it was just mangled in the Georgia Dome.
Right.
Like it just didn't look that good. Waylon enjoyed it, but I'll be damned if at 9:30 at night when everybody went to bed, I went in there and got my coconut cake and my 3 scoops of vanilla ice cream, which, by the way, was exquisite. I am trying to cut down on desserts. Second question.
I wouldn't cut down either.
Really?
Life's short. I mean, watch the sugar intake.
Days are long.
Days are long. Years are short.
Yep. So my next question is, I've noticed, okay, I like to hold the door for people, which I'm hearing is not always acceptable anymore. You shouldn't always hold the door.
Why?
Some ladies don't like it if you hold the door for them.
Oh.
It can be looked at as like and some people don't like the door to be held for them. So like, what's the threshold for they're too far to stop and continue to hold the door? You know, if you see somebody getting out of their car and their car is not very far from the door, you're kind of like, as you're approaching the door, you're thinking to yourself, do I hold it for them? Do I not? Is it too far? Are they going to feel like I'm slamming in their face? Like, is it 15 feet? Is it 20 feet?
I think the threshold is if that person has to alter their normal
Their
gait.
gait.
Yeah. If they got to speed up,
Yeah.
don't just go.
Don't. Yeah. Okay.
Let it go.
Now, say I hold the door for somebody. That was kind of something on the spot. But say I hold the door for somebody. The register, the place you order is right in the door. Say Juice Laundry.
Okay.
We know the place. It's a wonderful juice spot destination here.
Yeah, great oat bowls.
Oh, good oat bowls.
Yep, great oat bowls.
Cold press, bunch of cold press things.
Yeah.
In there. Open the door, holding the door for somebody. There's nobody else in line. They walk right up to the register, right?
Yeah.
So they're number one in line. And you were there first, but you were being a good guy and holding the door.
Yeah, the person not you has to then say,
right?
Now after you.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
100% of the time.
Holy shit, I've been getting taken advantage of.
But maybe building up karma, pointage.
I don't know if I believe in karma anymore. I've held the door for so many people, and they take advantage of my kindness, and they just walk up to the register.
Yeah. I had that recently at the kebab shop, now that you mention it.
Yeah, it's a fucked up move.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so I'm not crazy. Right?
No.
Okay, cool.
No, not at all.
In other news, you see the NBA is taking action or suggesting to their players certain guidelines in the anticipation of the coronavirus hitting the U.S. It's already hit the U.S., but like en masse. So, which I think is probably a good idea. On a serious note, they told players no more daps with fans, fist bumps. Okay. They've also said that autographs, yep, just one of those little quick ones.
Oh, hey.
No, you can't blow it up anymore.
Really?
Yeah, because when you blow it up, and for those of you listening, we just did the blow it up thing.
Well, they heard the...
You're actually kind of spitting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can't blow it up.
Okay.
Yeah, so just keep it to a nice, quiet eye contact. Yeah, no explosions.
But I'm not... Okay.
No explosions. I was trying to be serious about this because, listen, this thing is scary as shit. It should be taken seriously, and people are dying. So, like, I know that we joke about everything on Twitter, but I kind of have mixed feelings about getting on the timeline and seeing everybody getting their coronavirus jokes off. And to those people, I will ask them not to fucking complain when they're suddenly pivoting and saying, oh, well, now that it's in my state or in my country or my community, then we can't joke about it anymore.
Right.
I mean, just pick one, man. I'm not a big fan of joking about this thing. I'll just get that out there. And I've seen a lot of accounts just for clout getting these coronavirus jokes off. But it is kind of fucking stupid. And I read this in an article that, quote, New York Knicks forward Bobby Portis simply repeated the phrase, quote, Corona, as he fist bumped fans in the crowd during the game against the Houston Rockets Monday night.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's a little levity there.
Yeah, fans are looking for high fives, and he's just going Corona, 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 Corona with all his pounds.
No, just nodding like, Corona.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
What the fuck?
No, it's a good, a germaphobe.
Well, 38% of Americans thinks he's talking about the beer.
Right. I'm a germaphobe.
Yes.
And just had
Me as well.
a lunch meal and was introduced to somebody.
Yeah.
And I went for the handshake, and my guy said, oh, we can't do that. You want a chest bump?
Right.
We can't handshake anymore. And it was half the joke, but he also didn't shake my hand.
Very serious. Like, no, joke's over.
Yeah.
But there's no handshake at the end of this. And I don't blame anybody. I've turned into a real germaphobe in my 30s. There's a few things that I think are remarkable that we allow to happen on a regular basis. One, we've talked about washing fruit, right? I think it's ridiculous that people are as adamant about sanitizing and washing their hands, which they should be, but then they just run their apple under the water for like 15 seconds. Makes no sense to me.
Like 3 seconds, yeah.
3 seconds, yeah. I mean, like, that'll do it.
Yep.
No coronavirus on this apple.
Mm-mm.
I gotta wash like in the web of my hands
I do that anyway.
for 20 plus seconds with hot water. Because if it's cold water, it's not going to get the job done. And like special soap, like not just Dial, like real deal Holyfield soap. But if I run the apple under cold water with no soap for 3 seconds and put it in my mouth, I'm fine.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
I think you're right. My webbing is dry because I've been washing.
You've been washing so much.
So some people in my life make fun of me for how often I wash my hands, and nobody's laughing now.
Some people make fun of me because I brush my teeth a lot, so I totally get it.
Yeah. Apparently, I take too many showers.
I do the same thing. Also, shoes in your bag. People will go to New Orleans, go to like Mardi Gras, just happen, running up and down Bourbon Street, vomit, urine, bile, all the same. Horse manure, just like it's a hellhole. There's viruses there. They'll take their shoes off and put them in their duffel bag, like on top of their other things, including clothes that they say, well, I didn't wear these clothes. These are clean clothes. Everything in that bag is getting hazmated when you leave somewhere like New Orleans, or really anywhere. You pack your shoes in a bag. I think that's ridiculous practice as a germaphobe.
They make those shoe bags.
Yeah, the shoe bags help, but do you actually see people using them?
No.
Exactly. I guess, yeah, the shoes in the bag, and then also hotels, bathroom cups.
Hotels, bathroom cups. The glasses?
They're not getting washed, by the way, bro.
Yeah. I reckon you're right.
Another thing, not to scare you.
Yeah.
Toothbrush. Have it away from your toilet. Have we talked about this?
I think so, at least in
poop particles.
Real life.
You flush the toilet. Study says that your toothbrush is covered in poop particles.
Yeah.
Just a reminder.
What about your mobile?
Mobile, disgusting. Whatever's on it is going to be in and around my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I can't put this thing down, and I'm not, Lysoling this thing on the regular.
My lovely girlfriend Kate is.
Yeah, my lovely wife Meg does the same thing.
Just a wife, huh? Yikes.
So anyways, the NBA is taking measures to keep people safe. I think that's a good thing. Kemba Walker is going to get his own marker. Those are just a few really disgusting practices that I hope people amend. Don't put your shoes in your bag when you're on vacation. Get your toothbrush away from your toilet. There's poop particles flying everywhere. And then what was the other thing? Oh, bathroom cups at hotels. Don't mess with that stuff. And figure out a better way to wash fruit. I want to get to, before we've got Geoff Schwartz, by the way, coming on in a little bit to talk all the hardcore football. I know we're bullshitting a lot here, but we are going to talk some combine. Geoff Schwartz, host of the Geoff Schwartz is Smarter Than You podcast. He is going to be with me for, I think I'm going to get him. He said he's got about a half hour, so that should be good. And we're going to talk about the O-linemen at the combine. We're going to talk about the D-linemen a little bit as well. And then also like Oregon, Justin Herbert. Geoff played at Oregon as well. So here's what's going on in sports right now. And this is one of those podcasts where we don't really need any structure. I'm just going to bring it up. And you tell me what you think, Make.
Okay.
Spike Lee. Did you see him talk on First Take today?
Film director. I did.
Also disgruntled Knicks fan right now.
Yeah, I have seen that clip. What, 10 mil is the estimate?
What estimate?
That he's paid for
probably.
To the New York Knicks.
He will remind you, I mean, like they'll ask him a question that has, it's already established that he's been a Knicks fan since the beginning of time. But he cannot help but remind you that he saw Willis Reed. He was there when they drafted Patrick Ewing. He wasn't really doing a lot of answering questions. He just called Stephen A. Smith and said, can I come in and vent for 20 minutes? On a very busy sports day, there's a lot of real sports stories.
Mm-hmm.
He actually asked them to put him in cuffs like his brother, Charles Oakley, was the quote last night in New York.
Right. James Dolan.
He was evidently incensed about not what happened, but the misrepresentation of what happened by the Knicks. He'd been going through the same tunnel since Willis Reed, evidently. And there was a change in protocol. He claims he wasn't made aware of that. They turned him away. Spike Lee is done watching Knicks games for the year. That was the big. He's done going to MSG for the year to watch the Knicks play.
He was using the employee entrance, correct? Not the VIP entrance.
I believe so.
Yeah.
So Spike Lee also tough interview.
I didn't watch it in full.
Yikes.
You can decline this.
Yeah.
Would you like to name as many New York Knicks as you can? Your beloved team? Okay.
No chance.
Okay.
I'd name about 4 right now.
Okay, that's fine.
Like I said, I've been taking a hiatus.
Okay.
And I think Spike is finally coming around.
You and Spike. Yep.
So, Spike says he's done for the year with the Knicks, so am I.
Okay. Good deal.
What do you think about the Romo situation? By that situation, I mean him being generationally wealthy now. Like generationally wealthy.
Do we know what the other analysts are making?
We don't.
17 mil a season, which is basically $1 million a week in the NFL. That seems like a lot of money.
It is, but it's not when you look at what CBS and like Viacom
that's for sure
invest in the NFL product. I mean, it's a drop in the bucket for them. Like, because we look at it like the production cost exceeds, I mean, I don't know about exceeds his salary, but, you know, it's tens of millions of dollars in production costs.
Although, my man, speaking for myself, Phil Simms was a tough listen at times. I don't know that I'm tuning into a game because of Tony Romo.
And that's the big argument people have against it, which I don't even know why there is an argument, because he's great at what he does. You know, it's not hurting anybody else. And in fact, like players that drive the price up in free agency, he's going to drive up prices for people that want to do color commentary.
And Chris, let me talk to you about fair market value.
Yeah.
A house is worth what someone is willing to pay for it.
So now we're getting some real estate intel.
And you might have had ESPN looking at Tony Romo for that Monday Night Football spot, and CBS just had to lock him down, no matter the number.
And at ESPN, you know, generally they're not going to pay, you know, what CBS was talking about paying, but who's to say they wouldn't have? I mean, he's definitely the viewership in that slot that CBS has late in the day on Sunday afternoons is huge. You know, he's got a really good relationship with Nance. That was supposedly a lot of it, and a lot of people were assigning this jealousy that Nance might have because he's been in the business so long. I don't see it that way because all they do is talk glowingly about each other, and they had a relationship before he even got in the booth. So Nance has spoken on how him and Tony working together the next 10, 15 years, it could be like this power couple.
Nance also calls the Final Four and the Masters.
Right. So I think his ego's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of other people who are a tick jealous of Tony Romo, saying, well, you know, what about Jim Nance? I mean, I'm worried about what Jim Nance is.
Good for Tony.
Good for Tony. I think he's terrific at what he does. And again, you know, him and Nance work really well together. And he's resetting the market for analysts. So I want to get Geoff Schwartz on the line while we still got him. Again, we're going to talk about some combine, some O-line free agency stuff. He's a really high football IQ guy. So let's get him on the line.
Y'all have the same amount of letters in your names. Actually, the three of us all have the same amount of letters in our first names.
Oh, that's tight.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell him that.
Okay.
All right. Welcome into the Green Light Podcast. Usually I don't have O-linemen on. It's kind of scary to have O-linemen on here looking at me through the Skype machine. But I've got Geoff Schwartz here, 8-year NFL vet, Oregon Duck, and the host of a terrific podcast. Geoff Schwartz is smarter than you. Geoff, how are we doing, buddy?
You have your brother in though, but probably feels more like your brother's not an offensive lineman, right?
Yeah.
Like it just feels
he's kind of fucked up too. Like you guys are usually a lot more like type A and together, which you are. Kyle is a little bit different. He there was a chromosome missing that he ended up on that side of the ball. So
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
He's like a defensive lineman who's an offensive lineman.
yes, pretty much. Pretty much.
It's fair.
So, and actually, ironically, another Oregon guy, and I'm watching the combine, and first off, watching the Rose Bowl and watching Oregon. The misnomer here was with Pac-12 football is not physical, and largely it might not be, but those guys up there are physical. They're building something that's like kind of a powerhouse machine. We're going to run the rock. We're going to recruit big O linemen. What do you make of what's going on up at Oregon, and how'd those guys fare at the combine this weekend? Because I saw a few.
Yeah, well, generally speaking, what Mario Cristobal has figured out is that you need to have SEC bodies to win against SEC teams, right, in the playoff and in those situations against Clemson. And so he's recruiting big boys. We have giant humans at Oregon, and it says, look, we'll put you on a strength program. We'll cut weight. We'll put on weight. Whatever we have to do, we just want to get giant bodies. And that's what he had. Penei Sewell, left tackle, who's not draft eligible now, came in as a true freshman at 355. He's now 330, right? They cut his weight down. He looks good. He's the best guy, not draft eligible. Next year, by the way, Penei Sewell will be the number one offensive tackle, won the Allen Trophy this year.
He's a stud.
Fantastic.
He's an absolute
amazing.
stud. Would he be better than any of the tackles right now?
Yeah. I mean, won the Allen Trophy as a sophomore.
Yeah.
That's it's pretty amazing. So you look at his left guard, Shane Lemieux, 4-year starter. He actually, his lateral quickness is a concern, but he did pretty well at the combine. He's a big mauler type. He's a guy that you're going to find in like a Steelers offense, right? That kind of moves vertically up the field. You're not going to find him in a zone offense, in my opinion. Jake Hansen, a center, 4-year starter. It's invaluable to have 4 years at center at major college football. You can probably do it more in different schemes. He's not the strongest of guys. I think he's have issues with, and most centers do, getting just bull rush back, right? I mean, center, we know that you can put a guy on them and try to penetrate and loop around them is a good way to go. Warmack, their right guard, not a combine invite. He'll be a priority free agent. And then the right tackle, Calvin Throckmorton, he's interesting. So he's a guy that I think really tests the way we evaluate offensive linemen now. We used to just watch the film and say a guy can block or he can't block. We'll get him in a camp. We'll get him in 2-a-days. We'll get him in pads. We'll work with him, right? But now, because of less practice time, I think teams try to draft athletes, right? With less practice time, we'll just draft the best athlete. We'll put him out there and we'll see how he does. The problem is a lot of those best athletes aren't very skilled. They're not technically sound, and they get in the NFL, and there's no time to work on your craft.
There's no coaching.
Zero coaching. And a bunch of the old offensive line coaches don't even really attempt. They worry about they talk about the old days and how we used to hit, and they haven't adapted to the times. And so Calvin Throckmorton, the right tackle, all he does is block people. He didn't allow, I think, a sack in college. He just blocks dudes. But he ran a 5.6 in the combine. He's not a good athlete, and he's a test where most teams have him graded, priority free agent, end of the draft. He just blocks guys. Like, to me, that's important. If you block a guy in college, you typically will block a guy in the NFL.
Right.
That's all he does.
Right.
And so he's a test of the way that we evaluate offensive linemen now, where we say, look, not the greatest athlete. I'm not disagreeing with you there, but whatever he does on the field on Saturdays works, and that should translate to Sunday. He'll probably end up playing guard on Sundays, but he's a guy that'll come in the NFL. He'll play for 10 years. He's not going to be a Pro Bowler, but he's a guy you can rely on each and every day to do his job.
Right. So now on the flip side of things, somebody who wows you with the numbers and whatnot, because we talked about this off air. There's probably about 4 or 5 guys who are going to go at tackle who are going to go in that first round. Is there one guy that you're seeing and you're like, okay, he's a test athlete. He's not going to block people. I'm worried about this guy.
Well, the one guy that stands out to me is Austin Jackson of USC. And look, I don't really like to talk down about kids. I mean, I feel like
it's a fucked up. It's like it's a weird thing to have to do because you have to evaluate. You have to be honest. But there's nothing personal, and you'd love to be wrong. I'd love to be wrong about these guys.
I don't feel that way about pro guys. I don't give a shit. I'll say you suck if you're a pro, but college guys, I feel like kind of bad talking about guys like this. But he's a guy that is hugely athletic. A USC kid. I think he ran a 5-second 40. His 10 was at 1.7. Hugely athletic. Great athlete. But he's not very good at blocking guys sometimes. And he's a guy, he's the perfect guy for what I just said. Someone's going to draft him the top 15 or 16 or 17, and they're not going to have enough time to work with him. He's coming to the NFL. He's not going to be technically sound. You could draft a guy, and there's other guys that, Mekhi Becton from Louisville, 365 pounds, runs a 5.
That's crazy.
17% body fat. He'll go ahead of him. So will the Willis kid from Alabama, who's probably the best offensive lineman in this draft, the right tackle.
You like him. You like him a lot.
Yeah, he's good, dude. I saw a clip of him this year where he actually gave, this is rare to do in college, he faked that he was going to cut a defensive end and then just went to a vertical set, which is like amazing to do in college. Like he kind of gave one of these and then dropped back. It was great. Really good hands, strong. Alabama guys, they're very technically sound. And we see that with him, just very good with his hands, and he moves really well. The kid from Iowa, Tristan Wirfs, he had the most amazing combine, right? Set the record for vertical and broad jump, ran a 4.85. Needs a little polishing, but obviously amazing athlete out of Iowa. Not the pure run blocker we've seen out of Iowa. We've seen guys now for years, Brandon Sheriff.
Just maulers.
And the tight ends, right? Riley Reef is a mauler too. Mm-hmm. Tristan's more the pass blocking side. It's more pass blocking guy. Right tackle too. It's interesting. We have a lot of guys that played right tackle that might be taken early in the draft. And Andrew Thomas from Georgia, probably I would say the fourth. You go maybe probably Willis and Becton, Wirfs, and then you go to Thomas, and then probably Austin Jackson. So there's those 5 guys. As soon as the run starts on them, at some point, probably as maybe early as 8 or 9. We're going to see all those guys go, I think, in order.
Now I've looked at a couple mock drafts for whatever that's worth. And I noticed that, Wills down at Bama, who, by the way, I talked to my buddy at Bama, who compared him to Trent Williams, which I thought was interesting. And when I watched him at the I watched him at the combine, and by the way, he loved him, said he's going to be great. My one worry looking at him is he looks not light in the ass, but he's built top heavy. He's not like he's not like.
Yeah.
I look at the kid at Iowa, and he's built like a bear. I mean, everything on him is thick, and there's a little bit of an imbalance there. When you're looking at a guy's body type, like the kid down at Bama, what are you overlooking, and what are you concerned about? What's one thing you see physically when you look at a kid at the combine? You're like, I'm worried about this.
I really don't think that matters terribly much as long as their technique is good. That's the thing about offensive line, is that you have many body types. Look at your brother, right? Long ass torso, short ass legs. Like you would never draw him up like that, and you'd never drop an offensive lineman like that. I'm a huge offensive lineman. I play at 340. Now we're getting guys back like that. But there's guys that play at 305. They're stronger than me, right? It's all about how you generate explosiveness through your hips. And that's measured, obviously, at certain times at the combine. But it's all about your hands. Willis' hands are really good.
He's got good hips, too. I noticed that. He does have good hips.
I'm not worried. Trent Brown. Trent. You were there with him. He's a refrigerator from his waist up.
Yes.
He's got big legs, but his legs don't really match the rest of his body.
Right.
And I would call him, he's a top heavy guy, kind of the way he pass sets. Doesn't matter. He's freaking huge.
Yeah.
You can't get around him.
You're not going to get him to lean to where he will fall on his face, because he's not threatened by your anchor.
Correct.
Or his anchor's not threatened by your bull rush.
He's also, when you're 375, you shouldn't be afraid of anyone's anchor. So that's why I think that, these guys, of course, body structure is good. And, I think that if you have a guy with really, really tiny legs, you might think that he can't anchor, but it's really all about your hips, how you can manipulate the power through your hips at offensive line. That's what all this is about. It's about hip explosion and getting yourself through the block at that position.
And so you think the kid from Bama, if you're, the Giants, and I've heard the Giants might, according to these mock drafts, and as you know, mock drafts, it's law, the Giants are going to take Isaiah Simmons, but say the Giants wanted to protect Danny Dimes and they're looking at a tackle, you're taking the kid from Bama before you're taking Becton or
probably.
But
knowing Dave Gettleman, he's going D tackle here. I mean, Derek Brown's written all over this pick. Derek Brown is like, you know what? Isaiah Simmons is there. We don't need him. I need another defensive tackle because I love him. He drafts them all the time. And Derek Brown, by the way, people have compared him to Haloti. That's a lot.
That's high praise. I've heard Chris Jenkins as well. I don't know. I watch his tape and I'm not sure. I mean, I like him. The kid who's enticing to me, and it'd be a bit more of a project, would be the Kinlaw kid at South Carolina. He's twitchy. Now he gets narrow with his feet, and he can kind of fall all over the place a little bit. I think they both are raw from a pass rush standpoint, but you like Derek Brown by a ways, I would assume.
He's so powerful. I watched him. You talk about Oregon's offensive line in week 1, dude. He's a powerful man.
Yeah.
That's the Haloti that he reminds me of. I think that just the power now, Haloti's power is unbelievable. I don't think it's hard to compare anyone to Haloti, but just kind of the big and just the get off and the power of that. He's the ability to shed blocks and make tackles to me. And I think he's a hustle guy. You see him all the time. He's hustling down the field, trying to make plays. I think that's important. You talk about pass rush. I think we rarely see interior defensive linemen with established pass rush.
Yeah, they're not polished coming out.
Doesn't happen very often. No. And when they do, like Aaron Donald coming out, it's amazing, right?
Yeah,
that's why I like Chase Young, is because Chase Young has a primary move and a counter. Like he's already has a kind of an idea of what he wants to do. So when he comes to the NFL, he's able to just refine what he does. And that, to me, is already a leg up on a lot of other guys.
Which is a trend, it seems to be, at Ohio State here. They've rattled off a couple from the same family, and now Chase Young.
Like their hands, their ability to use their hands in pass rush is incredible. You don't get that in college. You really don't. A lot of guys just try to win with athleticism or being stronger, more powerful than you. But those guys, their hands are really good. They must have some great coaching at Ohio State.
I agree. And by the way, I met I met the fuck his name? I met the dad of the two Bosas. What's his first name? What's his first name? Do you remember his first name?
You met him.
He got drafted. He got drafted in the first round in the 80s. This kid, these kids are impressive looking, but their dad looks like he could still play. I mean, he's got to be 55. I mean, the guy is put together. So the genetic part of it I get, but then when you get a third guy like Chase Young, to your point, who's also playing with technique, looks to be polished. And I always say that about pass rushers early on. It's the hardest position to make a transition at. I mean, quarterback's tough, corner's really tough, but pass rush as well, because there is so much technique.
Yeah, it is. And I think that, that the more you can do coming out of college, to me, is impressive, because there's not as much practice time and you're not getting taught all the techniques. And look, for us as offensive linemen, if you have 3 moves as a defensive player, we really don't know what to do with you, because if you have 1 move, you have speed move, we'll take it away, right?
Yep.
If you have 2, you speed, okay, you come back inside. Okay, we know that if we overset you, come back. But the third move, it's the long arm, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a spin off. The spin is I hate the spin. Oh my God. I didn't defend 1 spin in my career. It's the third move that you have that really sets you apart. And I think if you come in the NFL with 2 moves already, you polish them up. But the third one, I mean, look at Bosa. Bosa, in my opinion, was the best player on the field in the Super Bowl. He was unbelievable. 12 pressures.
Yeah.
He just came many different ways. And I think the ability to have multiple ways to beat someone from the defensive line position is really impressive out of college.
So you're looking at this and you're telling me there's 4 or 5 guys that are going to go in the first round. And let me make sure we get this right. It's probably Becton, Wirfs, Andrew Thomas, Wills, and Austin Jackson, possibly.
Yeah, I think those guys are like going like right. Like I think there's a run on them at maybe 8 or 7 after quarterbacks are taken. Then just going to get.
So you think the first one's going to have to wait till the back half of the top 10?
I think so. If you look at the way that the draft breaks down, I can't. Detroit probably not going that direction.
Yep.
It seems that the court. Look, you're also going to have Burrow, Tua, Okudah, Simmons, and Herbert and Love, right? Probably
and
top
Love
6.
is now in the conversation. And by the way, you bring something up here that Love's been kind of skyrocketing. He's everybody's kind of combine time darling. Yeah. I know that we look at the 18 tape and the 19 tape. Do you like him better than Herbert? Are you on that? I know this would be an incredibly unbiased answer coming from you, but
here's my thing about the way we've talked about these quarterbacks is I feel like there's an inconsistency where people just say, well, throw out the Jordan Love tape, throw it out from last year. Who cares? Whatever.
Right.
He didn't have poor coaching and no weapons and blah, blah. And we just don't do the same for anyone else.
Right.
Look, I'll go to bat for Herbert. Herbert definitely has concerns, in my opinion. I think his anticipation is lacking at times. I think that sometimes he's not as aggressive as he should be. But excuse me, I will say, obviously, I watch every Oregon snap. I know their offense. I know what they're doing. Their OC is gone now.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I'm excited for they have a new OC. Their offense was not good for a quarterback. It's a run-based offense that only asked Justin to throw the ball when absolutely needed.
Right.
They also told him to not run. Imagine telling a quarterback, he ran a 4.6 the combine, to not run.
Right.
He didn't run for like 10 weeks. So to my idea is that you have him he has no pro wide receivers. His tight end got hurt in week 6. Hey, don't run the ball, yourself. We're going to run the ball on offense. We're only going to throw the ball when absolutely needed. We're going to have terrible route concepts.
Right.
I mean, he was not going to succeed, in my opinion, in that offense. So I think Herbert goes somewhere with a coach who pushes them. In my opinion, needs someone to push him, to be a strong-willed coach, get in his face, to push him to be great. Look, Jordan Love, he might be great, but I feel like we're searching for the next Pat Mahomes, right?
Yeah.
A smaller school kid, obviously difference between Group of 5 program in Utah State and Power 5 and Pat Mahomes, but we're looking for the next Pat Mahomes when we should just watch the film.
Yeah,
look,
it's the allure. It's the allure of trying to make the big home run pick and, make it at 6 maybe if you're LA. Where I think Herbert should go is I think if Herbert slides to 13 or whatever it would be with Indy, that'd be a dream come true for both parties.
Yeah, Frank Reich will get him right. The ball's out quick in that system. Yep. He knows what he's doing. Look, the guys at Oregon go to bat for him. They love him. He's tough. The leadership stuff is such a weird angle to go by because no one in that program will tell you that he wasn't a leader. Right. But look, there are issues with anticipation. There are actual issues that we ignore because we talk about his leadership and we're blowing up Jordan Love. And the one name, by the way, real quick, Jacob Eason at Washington in the first round.
Yeah.
Dude. That's wild to me. It's this time of year, to see the names that pop up in certain situations.
Yeah.
He wasn't good last year. You watch, he didn't win one important game. I do think there's something to the idea, whether it's fair or not fair. I know that in the NFL, quarterback wins is something that we kind of ignore and trying to talk about. But look at Jordan Love. I understand that he had new coaching, new offense, but in a Group of 5 school, if you're a top 10 pick, you should be the best.
You should be able to overcome.
Right. In my opinion, you should. We see on Division I level, Joe Burrow overcame SEC defenses.
Yeah.
Obviously, different situation, had pro guys everywhere. But we see guys all the time overcome the players they have. And I just didn't see that from him this year. Now, 2018 was great. He played really well.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're throwing away this tape and it doesn't matter because all those other things. We don't use the same excuses for Herbert.
Well, I think it's selective, and I also think that it depends on the ego of the coach making the pick. I can fix anybody. That's an NFL coach's creed. So we'll see who thinks that. And I'm not discounting Love. I mean, I think he could turn out to be a nice quarterback. But is it going to get harder to evaluate these quarterbacks because of quarterback mobility? You've always had coaching mobility. You've had coaches changing teams and organizations with frequency. Now you have players, a bunch of these players at the top of the draft. You have Eason who's kind of got question marks because the sample size, he was at Georgia. He was, and by the way, I thought that was a sick joke that he was throwing right next to Fromm because in the deep ball drill, it was like Fromm's noodle arm and then Eason's cannon. Fromm had to hate that draw, but I mean, I'm looking at these quarterbacks, and even Joe Burrow, who your buddy Colin Cowherd said that he's a great story, not a great prospect. Of course, when he interviewed Urban Meyer, he forgot famously that Joe was at Ohio State. Eason, of course, Georgia to Washington. You've got a number of guys who have these either small sample size issues or they've been in different places. Jalen Hurts is one. How do you evaluate him? Because you talk about his anticipation and maybe his decision-making, but he's been in 2 relatively complex schemes, at Bama and Oklahoma. So how do you judge these guys with more mobility going forward?
Well, that's the goal of these teams, right? Because historically speaking, kind of one-year wonders haven't been good in the NFL.
Right.
Guys that had one great year in college. Now, there's been some like Cam, for example, but Cam was a junior college All-American, right?
Right.
He was great in that level. Joe Burrow transferred from Ohio State, wasn't great even 2 years ago. It wasn't great in 2018. But Kyler Murray was kind of the first guy, right, where he comes in 1 year Oklahoma, and he had a good year, I think, as a rookie in Arizona. So I think guys are going to have to reevaluate how we look at these players. But look, Joe Burrow had a historic season in the SEC conference.
Yes.
It was an amazing season. And you look at Jacob Eason at Washington, not a great season. And it feels that feels like an easy comp to be made. Jalen Hurts is really interesting. I don't know. I think he's an okay thrower. I don't know how great of a quarterback he'll be in the NFL. That to me has nothing to do with just him transferring. I just think that he's not as good.
Yeah, you never know. But I might like him better. I might like him better than Eason. I don't know.
Fromm has, you're right, the noodle arm, doesn't really have the arm. But I think talking about mobility, I think nowadays, outside of Tom Brady and Drew Brees, your quarterback better be able to move in the pocket. Now, not run.
A little bit.
Not run it. Just move. Be able to move.
Like Burrow. Burrow can run, but Burrow, when you see a quarterback that moves well in the pocket with his eyes downfield, but he's anticipating the movement around him without looking down, without, that's movement in the pocket. I mean, that's throwing on the run. That's good hips. I mean, this is something that's a necessity now.
Yes. And you watch, and you make a good point about Burrow. Burrow's always holding the ball up here, looking downfield.
Yep.
He's never looking, where's the guy coming from? Where's he coming from? Yep. He's looking up. He's ready to go. That to me, like Phillip Rivers, I wouldn't sign him if I was someone. He can't move. Yeah. So you look at all these guys now, all the trait they all have, excuse me, they can move. They can all move.
Yeah.
Herbert can move. Eason can move. Tua can move. Burrow can move. Love can move.
Yeah.
You no longer have these statuesque pocket passers. I mean, Fromm kind of doesn't move, right? Fromm would be the guy that kind of the old school pocket passer. You don't have that anymore. Every quarterback in the NFL has got to move to some degree outside of Tom Brady, who really is good in the pocket, and Brees is also good in the pocket. But they're not running the ball.
Last Pac-12 quarterback question here. The kid that's gotten kind of lost in the shuffle, who had a nice combine, was the kid at Washington State. Longtime baseball player. Only a couple years of football on tape, and a bunch of throws in that air raid offense, but not a big sample size. What do you see when you look at him?
I mean, kind of the same as Gardner Minshew, right? A guy that is tutored by Mike Leach, a guy that can come in, I think, early in his career and probably beat Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew, the Minshew mania was a little overblown.
Overblown, buddy.
What he actually did. But I think he's a guy that, a kind of a reliable guy. Here's the thing about the draft. It's very important about quarterbacks. Very important. If you look at your franchise quarterback for your favorite team, outside of Brady, Wilson, Dak, and I guess you could include Nick Foles in this. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. They're all in the top 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting a 7th round pick to be your franchise guy. You're not. So if you're a fan of a team and you want a quarterback and you're thinking about that, draft him the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Historically speaking, you're not finding a Gordon, a Minshew to come in later in the draft and be your franchise guy.
No. Yeah, no, I would agree. And I am a big proponent of taking chances on quarterbacks until you hit on one. It's like you're looking at Washington, tough shit. You just drafted one. What are you going to do? Wait another 3 years to get the outcome you know is going to happen, which is that Haskins probably isn't good enough.
Arizona last year, I think, opened the floodgates on this.
Yep.
I think people have thought about it for a while. They wanted to do this for a while, but they're too afraid of the backlash. They're too afraid of their fan base. They're too afraid of whatever else. Look, quarterbacks nowadays aren't paid like they used to be. You know that. I mean,
the new CBA.
Stafford was the last guy getting paid. He get $70 million in his draft, or Bradford did.
Yeah, Sammy B. Right. Sammy Sleeves got that bag. Yeah. He got the last bag. Literally the last bag.
Yeah. So it's especially if the cap goes up now to $240 million in 2 years. Like, it's affordable now to just say, all right, Haskins, you'll sit for a year. We'll trade you somewhere. We'll get our guy that we want.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be monitoring that as the years go by. But as you watch the O-lineman at the combine, because a lot of this is, we're just wowed with these numbers. I mean, Becton running a 40, it's incredibly intimidating and scary as shit. But also, I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what to make of an O-lineman who can jump 11 feet in the broad. I don't know what to make of an O-lineman in a 3-cone drill, although I think maybe that's a little bit more indicative of agility on the field. What's one measurable that you're like, throw that out? And what's one that you wish you could have, or one feature that you wish you could have? For D linemen, I talk about ankle flexion. Nobody's talking about ankle flexion as we watch these guys run a straight line. But ankle flexion makes a huge difference in how a guy's going to get the corner and can enhance that player's ability, who can run fast in a straight line. But if he doesn't have ankle flexion, he's not going to hit the edge. So what's something like that for an offensive line?
I think that for offensive line, broad jump is important. You want to look at everything where you can measure hip explosiveness, right? All we do is we roll our hips to block us. Even in pass protection, you I've had a coach say this. It makes sense. You just give them the tip in pass protection, right? Just a little bit of hips in pass pro.
Just the tip.
And so just the tip in pass pro. So broad jump, the 10-yard split on a 40, right? Explosion, how fast you get off the ball. The 40 itself doesn't matter. Even the drills that they do are pretty stupid and silly. Doesn't really matter. I want to see how hard a guy strikes a bag. I want to see really not even how hard, but how they do it. Okay. It's not a boxer punch, right? You're not throwing your arm in there. It's a punch from your back, right? It's how hard. It's a snap of the elbow, punch from your back. I want to see how guys punch the bag. The combine is mostly silly for a lot of those drills, but the broad jump, the vertical a little bit. My vertical is 20.5. It's like one of the worst.
20 and a half?
Yeah.
Not halfway to 30, 20.5.
20.5.
That's fucking remarkable. You know what I want to know? I want you to redo that now. 12 years later or 11 years later?
I've had 3 ankle surgeries. I don't think I can even jump.
Over or under 15 inches now?
Oh, geez. Under, probably? I don't even know.
This is awesome. Jumping is the most dangerous thing for a retired football player to do.
I can even do
you could pop an Achilles at a, like.
I play basketball. I just don't jump.
Yeah, no, you're just on the ground. That's great.
Not going to do. My brother, it's really funny. My brother and I had terrible combines. He had like the worst broad jump of all time. Like it was like 8. It was something like just terrible. It was like so terrible. And then obviously he's played 8 years and then 4 all pros.
Yeah,
and that doesn't matter.
He's been great.
It doesn't matter. The vertical is important. Hip explosion, right? As I just cough my way through this podcast.
This guy, hazmat. He's like, need to spray your room. The guys in the suits need to come in there.
I promise I'm fine. That to me, it's all about hips. How do you measure how explosive a guy can be at the combine? And a lot of that stuff, those drills can be done at pro day when you individualize the drills. There's drills you can do to see how guys explode on a bag. Yep. That to me is, I think, for offensive linemen, the most important thing is how do your hips work?
Got it. So we're looking at the free agents before I let you go here. Guys already in the league who are looking at possibly new destinations. We've got Joe Thuney. We've got Costanzo in Indy. We've got Sheriff how the fuck do you say his name? I've been struggling with that for years. Sheriff?
I think it's Sheriff.
I've had D-line coaches call him Sharif.
It's not Sharif.
Sheriff. We've got Conklin, who's up. Balaga, that's an interesting one. Yeah. Jason Peters in Philly, who's 38 years old. Beecham in New York. Whitworth. Who's a guy out of that group that you think is gonna be on the move?
Oh well, Joe Thuney's gonna make a lot of money. Yeah. Isn't he the first guy to ever start his career with 3 straight Super Bowl starts? Is that him or Andrews?
I don't know, but he's 4 years. He's played 99% of the snaps. He was real good last year. 16 pressures allowed. Are you tentative when you look at him because you're like, okay, how much of that was New England and Scar?
No,
you're not,
because Trent Brown played well last year. I think if you're good, you're good, right? Yeah. And I think that he'll be able to go somewhere, and he's going to make that.
Trent was good in San Francisco, though. I remember trying to set the edge on him, and me and Ninkovich were like, "What the fuck is this?" I mean, like, how do you expect us to set the edge on this guy?
Like you've been around me. I saw Trent Brown like 2 weeks ago, dude. He looks. There's a photo I'll send you of him and Mekhi Becton, right? It's not even close. Trent Brown is the giantest human I've ever seen.
Way bigger than Mekhi.
He's bigger than Mekhi. Oh yeah,
Jesus.
He's like Brian McKinney. He's like Brian McKinney size. Like, giant, so freaking big is Trent Brown. It's incredible.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you should worry about that. I think he's a solid player. He'll get paid a lot of money. Balaga, Conklin. I think Balaga's a little older, so he probably won't get as much. I think he's probably a better player than Conklin. Conklin will get a lot of money from someone.
Conklin's been a hot name as you struggle through your possible COVID-19 infection here. Conklin is, he's younger. He's 26. Balaga's 31. Balaga has been a long time, really, really good player at right tackle. And again, the misnomer that all right tackles are stiff and all that stuff. He's a good tackle. And, I think being 31 won't help. But Conklin, I worry about his anchor a little bit. Do you ever worry about that when you watch him on tape?
Yeah, I mean, he plays a little bit high, and it's something that he's had to deal with in his career as far as being able to anchor. He's had a bunch of injuries too, which don't really help.
Yep.
Help him do that. Early in his career, he got a lot of help, and he'll admit that. He admitted it.
Ton of help. Yeah.
And it kind of made him, got that All-Pro his rookie year, and ever since then, it's just been a little tougher for him. The injuries have caught up with him, and so I'm really interested to see how teams view him. But again, I think that you run into a situation where teams just get desperate, right? They say, look, we have a hole to fill. We have money to spend. We'll just give it to Conklin, right? Because obviously if you're not in the top 13 in the draft, you're probably not getting a starting right tackle in round one. Now, there's a couple guys, the Jones kid from Houston, that might be able to sneak up at the back end of the first round, top of the second round, that can start right away. So I see a lot of teams just saying, look, we'll give Conklin the 15. The cap is going up in 2 years. It won't be that bad.
Yeah. So you think Thuney for sure is on the move? You think Conklin might be on
I think the Patriots. I think Tom comes back. It's a different discussion for another time. But I just don't think you can afford him. I think that it's too expensive.
So give me a place that would be a perfect marriage for Thuney, and give me a place that would be a perfect marriage for Conklin.
Man, you put me on the spot here. I haven't even looked at the depth charts yet. I'm so into college right now. I think anywhere that you're running a zone offense, in my opinion, would be a really good fit for Thuney, right? A guy that's size, he can move really well, very reliable. To me, Conklin needs to be in more of a run-based offense. I wouldn't, which is almost like a Seattle. I think Seattle would be, if you let Fetty go and you get Conklin, that feels like a good spot for him. I'm trying to think about the guards right now. That's
a dangerous amount of investment into the offensive line in Seattle. I mean, it's unprecedented. I mean, that they would now have, I mean, is Dwayne up this year?
I don't know.
But if you had Dwayne Brown and Conklin, I mean, you basically paid two tackles. That's out of the question in Seattle.
The Peters and Lane Johnson, they make it work.
No, I know. Yeah, it does work. And by the way, do you think JP plays a couple more years? I know he wants to.
Yeah, of course he does. I mean, dude, you made the money, man. You have your ring. Like, you're going to the Hall of Fame. I've
never met anybody who likes football more than Jason Peters. Jason Peters is going to be a terrific football coach when he hangs it up. And you know what I like about him, Geoff, is he takes care of the younger guys. I mean, he takes them under his wing. I mean, a lot of Hall of Famers, great players, they can't kick the ego thing where it's weakness or you're helping the competition. He will coach a guy that they drafted to take his position because he's that secure in who he is, but also he just loves football and he loves, coaching folks up.
And they keep drafting guys to replace him.
You can't get rid of him. Get rid of him.
Like, I mean, technically Lane was supposed to be his replacement, right?
Yes.
And they draft.
And then they became best friends.
Yeah, they draft Andre Dillard.
Yep.
Lane Johnson is one of my favorite humans. He's
terrific. He's terrific.
He's amazing.
And he's not showing any signs of slowing down. I think him and your brother are doing a great job of dispelling the bad rumor that right tackles are inferior to left tackles. So
it's silly. There's so many pass rushers over the right tackle now. It's crazy.
Well, Geoff, I appreciate you coming on, bro. I got to have you on another time. An O-line guru here, and now I'm happy to call Geoff Schwartz a friend of the program. Check him out on Geoff Schwartz is Smarter Than You. I can almost 100% assure you that that's true. And hopefully we have you back on another time. Get over that cough, man. You don't want to be out in public doing that shit.
No, I don't want that. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, buddy. Talk to you soon. So that was Geoff Schwartz, really insightful, a lot of good stuff on O-line play, and I can assure you he watched a lot of tape. But interesting some of the stuff he said. He mentioned the kid from USC as maybe being a stay away. If you have to pick an O-lineman at the top of the draft, who are you snagging?
Well, that's an easy question for me to answer. And to answer it, all I would have to do is sign out of an account and sign into a Buddies so that I would have access to a mock draft that I trust. And then I would scroll for a little while and find a cool name and a cool school.
The answer is Mekhi Becton.
Oh, Mekhi Becton. Actually,
Nah.
Because he is a Virginia product who chose Louisville over Virginia.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid I cannot.
You're
pick
out on that.
Mekhi Becton.
Well, let's since you have so much insight on Combine O-linemen, let's get to the bracket punishments. We're going to do a bracket. This is the best time of the year. This is the most fun time of the year in sports, in my opinion. And it's coming up soon. So I asked fans what we should punish the loser, the last place dude in our bracket with. Obviously, famously, Matt Conrath, Dyed Tips, Fantasy Football. He still got the Dyed Tips. They're still on there. Here's what we got. Okay, fans had some good ones. Did you make any up?
Nope.
Fuck, man.
I don't like being mean.
Yeah.
And I also have a weird relationship with the bracket. It's my most favorite thing in the world, even when the Who's aren't running the world in NCAA basketball. Last year, I don't always pick the Who's to go far either.
That's a tough one.
I'm realistic about it. I'm reasonable.
Yeah.
But last year I did quite well because I thought the Who's had the stuff, and they did.
And they did have the stuff.
But I don't do great, so I'm worried about this.
Yeah, you could be the one.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Doc says leave a block of cheese out on the counter at the start of March Madness, and at the end, the loser has to eat the old cheese. Boom. That just popped into the noggin there. Thank you, Dave.
I think that's a health concern.
Is it?
Yeah.
Cheese gets to be cheese by getting rotten.
You're not wrong.
So it's just it just end up cheesier.
Cheese. Okay, next.
Mike Dawson says enroll in a dance class.
That's good.
Can't dance. I would be terrified. Terrified.
Yeah, it's more about the social anxiety than the actual having to dance.
I can't dance because I don't know what to do with my face.
Your face.
If I was wearing like a mask, I could definitely dance. If I was on Masked Singer, I could cut a rug. Never been able to dance. You don't know what you're doing with your face. Like, what facial expression do you make?
You bite your bottom lip
to dance. No, I don't know. I have no idea. But it's all about the facial expression. I'm telling you, if you get the facial expression down, you can dance.
Tell the people, can I dance or can I not?
Yeah, he can dance. He does one move. It's called the shovel.
That's right. Thank you.
How's that go? It's like 3 scoops over the shoulder.
Oh, it's a move.
Okay.
And it's mine.
Okay.
Kelly
Wood Cobra says, spend Saturday working on those jobs where you stand in front of a business, twirling the sign around, trying to get people to come in. I fucking love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Love this.
Can anybody just roll up and get one of those jobs, though? I mean, they're not posted, I don't think.
No, I mean, but we could get like a day job. I went through some of the...
You probably approach a business and be like, hey,
I went through some of the listings.
Stand with an arrow?
I went through the listings for these jobs.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Done
people are making upwards of $20 doing this an hour.
Probably deserve more.
Yeah, I think so. Town Puppies in Temecula is asking to, quote, carry the sign with excitement. Well, Town Puppies, you're paying $11.50 an hour. And I've seen other listings right below yours for $20 an hour. So how do you expect your employee to carry the sign with excitement? Mattress Wholesale in Columbus, quote, must be able to stand for 8 hours and spin a sign. Close quote. It makes sense. Fairly straightforward. Aero sign spinners in Los Angeles, quote, perfect job for athletes, aspiring entertainers, comedians, actors, models, musicians. I'm wondering, are there any famous former sign spinners out there?
There was a tax prep place on West Main Street.
Yeah.
That guy's good.
Dude was elite.
Yes.
He wore a Statue of Liberty thing or an Uncle Sam thing.
Yes, that's what I have in my head.
I was thinking about him today. Yeah. I was thinking driving in, like, where the fuck is that guy?
Right.
As soon as I saw this, I was thinking about that guy. And I think sign spinners don't get enough love. I also think that if it paid slightly more, it'd be a pretty good gig. Easy exercise. You work outside. No one thinks of it as hazardous, but it's kind of hazardous. Which, by the way, we get fined for hitting workers, get jail time, that whole thing. You should go to fucking jail if you hit one of the sign spinners.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah.
Just as long as, why are they any better or worse than somebody who works for VDOT?
I'm with you.
Sign spinners, dangerous job, thankless job, almost a really good job, $5-7 more an hour, I'm down. But again, if I was a costume sign spinner, we talked about costumes, masks, I could do it excellently. Nobody has to see my face.
So you could be a mascot. You could be Cavman.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Last one, car drop, Fort Myers, Florida. Quote, must be willing to learn the skills / moves / tricks of a sign spinner. What
coachable.
What does that entail?
You got to be coachable.
Yeah, I guess so. Somebody suggested we do the Waffle House Challenge.
Big fan of that.
What is that?
Yeah, 24 hours in a Waffle House you must spend. You can take an hour off for every waffle you eat. And you think, oh, okay, I'm in there 2 hours, I eat 22 waffles. Nah, it's while that math works out, it's not that easy. And you can find accounts online of people hitting waffle 6 and completely shutting down. Like napping, like having to order eggs and sausage just to get the waffle and syrup out of there.
But there's no prerequisite for how many you have to eat, right?
No, you can eat 0 and stay in there for 24 hours.
Then you're just 24 hours in a Waffle House.
Yeah.
They probably have Wi-Fi in there. It's not the traditional coffee shop, but I think that maybe some young professionals I'd like to think in Waffle House getting some work done, working from home.
Yeah. Maybe start at like at 10 p.m., get a little work done, then you get to see the drunk folk come in right about midnight.
They don't serve any alcohol in Waffle House.
I don't think so.
I could get a buzz somehow in that motherfucker.
I'm sure you could.
I could do that easy. I only fear constipation.
Well, yeah.
That could happen as well, eating a bunch of waffles.
You could probably bring some fiber.
Can I put the fixins on the waffles, or just like...
Yeah, anything you like.
So what would make this an even tougher challenge if you had to eat them dry? If you had to eat them dry.
Yeah, I guess. We're taping on March 3rd. I need to say happy birthday to my brother, Hunt.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, Hunt.
He's not 4. He's less than 60.
And that makes his birthday relatively less important than Waylon's because there's just been so many of them.
I think he'd agree. He also committed funds to
Shout out to Hunt.
Friends of Greenlight Pod
Shout out to Hunt.
Whether domestic or overseas.
He is the only.
The only so far.
Scott Harris says take a blow-up doll on a proper date. Just like feeding it spaghetti.
That's good.
Just like dangling the spaghetti.
Is that a proper date? I've never fed a date before.
I don't know. That's how I picture it in a movie. Like candlelit.
Yeah. You're in a public restaurant.
Yeah. Out in public.
Yeah.
But you got to feed it. Like you can't act like it's...
Well, I mean, I just think you sit there.
You have to play it up. You have to pretend this is a real person.
Well, yeah, you got to make the order. Mm-hmm. But then I think they just sit there not eating and then say, is everything all right with your meal? And keep on the conversation.
I think that might be brutal. Get a portrait of the winner. That was it's not all about tattoos. I really like this one. Tin Can Dan says, take the ACT or SAT, pay the $100, go to a local high school on a Saturday morning, driven by the second worst participant. Fuck that. I could win the thing. I want to drive this motherfucker to the SATs and take it in a room full of high schoolers. I didn't know there were any other rooms that you could take it in. If the loser gets anything less than a 22, they have to take it again until 22 is achieved. I don't know what that means because we took the SAT.
Right. Back when it was 1600, and I think it's now back again to 1600.
1090 right here.
Oh, nice.
Not the best, but not the worst.
Yeah.
What were you, like 14?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Sorry.
Some people don't have access to all the tutors and the practicing.
You did though. I went to play school. What can I say?
D. Kelly said, "Get blocked by Mekhi Becton." I'd actually love this. Can you imagine? This is the scary part. Mekhi Becton would risk just rolling his ankle stomping on Bad Backy's chest after he pancakes him. And to round this one out, Bell says wear nothing but a diaper on one of your shows. I absolutely love this. Can you imagine? Be great. I know you're thinking about you in a diaper, but you can't think like a loser. Think about.
That was very good. That was.
You're thinking about You're thinking about the risk.
I need to change my mindset.
And this is how we would be as gamblers.
I should be envisioning you in a diaper.
I'm thinking about a win. I'm like a winner here in my mind.
Yeah.
Coach Wookie in a diaper.
Yeah.
Right here. It's worth it.
Yep.
And then lastly, Justin, if the local supermarket has ads on the shopping carts, have the loser buy an ad, take an Olin Mills type photo. That's the old creepy family photos that people now do satirically, like the 80s.
Yeah.
Take an Olin Mills type photo of the winner's choosing and have it plastered on all the shopping carts. That's terrific.
That's good.
So we've got some finalists there. We'll work through those. And we'll be back with you next week. 1 week closer to the tournament, and maybe by then we can decide on what the punishment is going to be.
Good deal.
Okay? Y'all take care.
Take care of yourselves.